Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Flamecast. This is where we talk with Flamecast guest, FlameCon guest, both past, present, and future, and hopefully someone that we will have coming to FlameCon in the future as a wonderful writer and creator who has a new show coming to Netflix. What? Would you please introduce yourself and let people know what they can tune into soon?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm V.E. Schwab, and I am a novelist by trade. I've written more than 20 published books. Seems like a lot. Makes me feel very old inside and outside. But my very first television show airs on Netflix on Friday. We are talking on Wednesday. That makes it very, very soon. I'm not nervous at all. It's totally fine. First Kill is actually based on a short story that I wrote. I wrote this short story in 2019. In 2020, Netflix greenlit the first season. In 2021, we filmed it, and it airs in 48 hours. So I'm great. Netflix is First Kill is the story of a teenage vampire named Juliet who needs to make her first kill in order to kind of assume her place in her vampire family. And she has a crush on a new girl at her school named Calliope. She decides that Calliope will be her first kill because it's better if you like them. Anyway, they end up at a party together. Juliet goes to bite Calliope, and Calliope goes to stake her in the heart because it turns out that Calliope is new to town because she is a budding young monster hunter who needs to make her first kill to be embraced by her family. And so begins a Romeo and Juliet, or a Juliet and Juliet, of competing families and star-crossed loves, and everything goes horribly wrong.
It's a tale as old as time.
As old as time. And as gay as pride demands.
Exactly. Well, let's take a look at First Kill with this trailer.
I'm from a lineage thousands of years old of the best monster hunters to ever walk the earth.
Even on good days, I feel like I still don't fit in. Like everyone else has it all figured out.
Oh yeah, that.
I haven't told anyone, of course.
You are a legacy vampire. Made vampires would love to see their reflection in a mirror.
We're hunters.
More importantly, you're my daughter.
Which is why we've decided you're ready for your first kill.
Here's to killing monsters.
Your body is changing.
Yeah, my body.
But very soon, you are going to have to make your first kill.
Hi.
It's Juliet, right?
Yeah. You're Calliope?
Well, Cal's good.
Who are you, Calliope? Where'd you come from?
Addicted to loving you. How does it feel?
You're nothing like the monsters I grew up hating.
I just want to live my life.
Can't be together. It won't work. I've forbidden you from seeing her.
We're not supposed to be.
I know my feelings for you are real.
Juliet and every legacy in Savannah dies tonight.
Run now!
I'll kill for you.
Keep your fangs in your mouth. We won't have a problem. We will always have a problem.
I had to choose between you and my family. I choose my family.
What about us?
Faced everyone, monster and human, who tried to come between us. We got this.
I'll kill for you.
I have to tell you, I'm laughing because I'm what I call a popcorn optimist, which basically means like until I can actually sit with a bucket of popcorn and watch a thing on a screen, I don't believe it's real. And for the last 3 years, every single time we've hit a milestone, I've been like, this show's not going to happen. I was like on set and we were filming and I was like, it's too bad the show's not going to happen. And finally the trailer came out, or I got to see the trailer a couple weeks before it came out. And I was like, maybe it's going to happen. And now that made it feel really real for me. And now at 48 hours before release, I'm like, okay, fine. Like it's at this point, it's probably gonna happen, but like I don't know. We could have a Y2K situation at midnight on like Netflix has got like I don't know. I don't know the future.
Well, like so you talked about that it came the short story came out in 2019, and then all of this sort of snowballed. Like, what was that process like?
Fast. I mean, I have like a lot of projects in development, and I have projects that were in development before the short story sold that are still at the same spot in development, and suddenly the show's out. It did happen very quickly, especially with the pandemic in the way.
Yeah.
Every story I tell about how it happened, though, makes me just sound like more of a hot mess than I am. Because like the day that I found out that Netflix was going to greenlight the show was my birthday party, and I was like 6 shots of tequila in, and I get a conference call from 7 executives at Netflix on like a group call to be like, "Hey, we have some great news." And I remember I was lying down on the floor, being like, "Is like feigning sober, just like this is amazing." I'm like really, and then like I texted them the next day, and I was like, "Can somebody call me back?" Because like I'm not entirely sure. No, you know the whole thing is surreal. It's an exercise in collaboration in that, you know, as a novelist, I'm used to playing God. Like I am the sole creator. I'm the one in control. I'm an incredibly like visual writer. So extremely neurotic about every little detail. You come onto a TV show and it's like, there were like 300 people working on this show. Like, and even in the kind of inner circle, you know, you have directors and directors of photography, and you have, the producers, obviously, and the writers and the actors and the show. Like there's so many visions that it really becomes an exercise in not compromise, but in like coalescing and making sure that everybody gets to see the piece that they need to see most. And so I think you can get really stuck in that as a writer. Like it can be bad. So I tried really hard to embrace the chaos of like a communal creative effort, because I'm used to this as a novelist, people coming to me being like, "I hope they don't ruin the movie version of your books." And I'm like, "But they can't. They can't. The books are going to still be there. Like nothing they do is going to erase the book." And so I think it was a little easier because this was a short story for me to like let it be bigger than me.
Yeah.
Because I like just, and I wanted to do this because like I grew up with Buffy and Supernatural and Charmed, and like I loved these shows, but they didn't always love me. And I just like really wanted to do something for teenage me. And like, you know, we got to do that. And so I feel like no matter what else, like teenage me probably would have saved herself about 10 years if she had something like this show.
Well, speaking about that, and it might be similar, because, you know, many Supernatural shows, books, they only allude to the queer trans experience through allegory or subtext. Excuse me. But your show, there is no subtext. It's all text. It is unapologetically queer in a way that's not a very special episode.
Yeah.
I mean, and even more so, you know, it shows a young queer interracial couple navigating many firsts together.
Yeah.
What were the inspirations to these characters?
Here's the thing. I feel like we've made massive strides in terms of like queer media. Don't get me wrong. I really do feel like we've come a huge way, but there's still this pervasive mentality that if a show is going to center queer characters, it has to be about their queerness. And there's a very like quiet maliciousness that happens with that, a very subtle kind of negativity. Because what that says to a queer kid or a queer adult is you are valid to this narrative if it's about your pain, if it's about your coming out, if it's about your trauma. Like you are validated and your experiences are validated as long as that's what we're mining. You don't get to exist in a story that's not about your queerness. Or if you do, you're at the edges of that story. But like, I write genre, I write fantasy and horror, and like, as a gay kid, like I wanted to be in those spaces. I didn't want to be in a romance. Like that's not what I needed. What I needed to know was that I was valid and I got to be at the center of a narrative. I deserved to be there, and I had just as much complexity as the straight characters. And they were never reduced to their sexuality. They never had to be about that. But like, so I wanted to make a show where it's not. And like, yes, there's always going to be a conflict. There's always going to be a power dynamic. There's always going to be hierarchy. So that's what there is in this story. It is about the fact that one of these girls is a vampire and one's a hunter. That is our stand-in. And in doing that, what we get to say is it's not about them being gay. Like, these two girls are already out to their families. This is like not the issue. Their families know this and are fine with this. They have a very different issue.
Right.
And I think there's something that's incredibly powerful about simply letting queer kids take up space in narratives that are not about their queerness.
There's this maybe unintentionally sweet moment where Cal's mom is admonishing her for having a girl in her room with the door closed.
Yes.
That it's just, it's such a mom thing to do that has, you know, in such a small way sort of normalizes things, you know, like this is just what parents do, you know, that you're a teenage kid, you can't have, you know, a potential love interest in your room with the door closed. Like,
especially when it's a mortal enemy. I mean, there's multiple layers happening here. You brought a mortal enemy into your bedroom, but also not in my house. You are not going to close the door to your bedroom in my house. Like,
but that's the thing is, like, she didn't quantify it as, you know, you can't have a vampire in your room.
Yeah.
It, you know, it because they're a vampire. It's, you know, it's, you can't have another girl in your room because this, you know, shenanigans can happen.
Exactly. And that's what was very important too. Like, Cal has an ex-girlfriend in the show. Mm-hmm. And that is also important to the narrative. I mean, like, it's informed. They're still close. They're still friends. But like, I didn't, you know, it was very important that all of it feel very normal and all of it feel very entrenched. These are not each other's first time with girls. It's not each other like thinking that they're straight and then falling for something. Like, these girls are already gay. Like, this is the space that they take up in the world. And I just think that can be incredibly refreshing. Like, it's just let them take up that space. And like, sure, there's a ton of drama and angst because there's a ton of drama and angst being a teenager already, regardless of your sexuality or gender. And like, you know, so of course we're an angsty YA show. We're going to make sure that the stakes are at 10, literally and pun intended, all the time. But I also am just like, let's just take the spotlight off this one element. It's really interesting. And I can't say it because it's a spoiler. There is like an analog to a coming out story in the show. It's something very different at the end of the first season that I think is like really powerful, like lack of acceptance narrative. What happens when you finally do something your family can't accept? But even that is not about, I mean, it's like, I would think any gay viewer, any queer viewer will see it and be like, that is responding to that. And I feel like every straight viewer is just going to like pass it straight by and they'll just like it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of show it here, you know, you have such a great diverse cast. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk about family. There's a lot of sort of found family within this.
Yeah.
And so it's great to sort of see that explored, you know, through supernatural and genre, but like there's such a sweet connection to these characters. So.
Well, and it was really important that they are like so different, but really equal in terms of the foundations that are around them. Both families are entrenched. Both families are indoctrinated. Both families come with like 1,000 years of baggage to the systems. And then within those families, you have the parents who are like the most codified. You have the older siblings who are modeling as older siblings do. And then you have our younger girls, you have our teen girls. And so I really wanted those layers of family because, you know, we talk about this being kind of a Romeo and Juliet narrative, a Juliet and Juliet narrative. But if you think about Romeo and Juliet, that story is as much about warring families as it is about the two lovers at the center. And this is a show about the dynamics that each girl has within the family and the dynamics that those families have with each other. And so it was really important that these are whole families that love and support their children, but also have a very strict vision of the kind of people they want their children to be.
Talking as you know, you're classically a literary writer, more so than a TV writer, though you do this for this series. And I want to sort of talk about, you know, there's been a lot of scrutiny and backlash and banning of books lately. Would you talk about the importance of queer characters and storylines in YA books?
Of course. I mean, look, this is like, it's a very large country. And I think when you live in like a highly liberal place, it can be easy to think, we don't need these things. It's 2022. How can this even still be an issue? And the fact is, though, that like you'll hear novels talked about often as an empathy engine. They're often the first place that we experience people who are unlike ourselves. And like, just as it's really important that like a queer reader, for instance, has access to queer content to be able to see themselves and have a mirror, it's equally important that young straight readers have access to queer content and have this first introduction and this ability to understand and think of people around them with context. Like, we have to become exposed in all forms of media and in reality and in our lives to people who look different from us, think different from us, feel different from us. This is how we do this. And books are such a vital place to have an experience of somebody else. They're also a safe space for us. Like, I write horror as well. And one of the things I love about writing horror, I write horror for like kids. Like, I write like middle grade horror. My scariest books are for younger readers. That's the age when you realize the absolute power of books, but also the absolute agency you have as a reader to pick something up, to put it down, to decide for yourself when you're ready for things, to like decide your relationship to fiction and to content. But also as a fantasy writer, like, these are our safe places. These are the places where often we find hope when we don't see it in the world around us. And I think that, like, again, it's so easy when you live in certain areas to think we already have that. We already have these things. But like, if you live in some areas, you don't have these things. And you also need them. And I hear people be like, oh, you have the internet. And I'm like, you need them everywhere. You literally need access to these stories everywhere you go, because some kids, their school library is the only place they're going to have access to it. Their community library is the only place they're going to access. They're going to feel insecure about what's on their browser. They're going to feel unsafe searching things. Like, they need to know that they have analog and digital, that they have every way to find themselves and to see that they're not alone. Because it is really easy when you don't have those analogs, when you don't have those mirrors in the world around you, as well as those doors out, to feel like you are very alone.
Oh, yeah. Moving on to happier things, happier thoughts. So we're in Pride Month. I'm curious as to who is part of your community. Where do you find pride?
Well, I never, you know what's really sad? I never get to celebrate Pride like as the physical space. It's not really like I never get to go to the parades. I live in Scotland. I'm like never in the right country whenever anything is. I live in the neighborhood in Edinburgh. Like, I walk along a beach, there's Pride flags everywhere, and they're there year round, which is kind of my favorite thing, because nothing breaks your heart a little bit more than seeing the June 1st of it and the July 1st disappearance. So I think I just try and surround myself at all times with, I mean, I'm sure I have a few straight friends. Like, I'm sure they're there, right? I have some token straights. Like, much to their chagrin, they say. Like, we keep trying. We're just like, come on, man. And they're like, I'm sorry. I wish I was. And it's like, it's okay. You can still hang out with us. Yeah. No, I mean, I celebrate Pride kind of every day. The thing is, like, I was in the closet for 26 years. Like, for a solid 16 of those, I thought I was straight and just doing it wrong. Like, genuinely, I like watched Willow on Buffy and I didn't really connect with her. And instead of being like, I need other mirrors, I was like, must be straight. And then spent the next 10 years just like trying really hard to be straight and being really bad at it. And like, in the most, you know how we can be so opaque to ourselves. Like, everyone around me. And in retrospect, I look back at teen me and I'm like, oh, honey. And at the time I was like, I'm straight. And I like had the practical magic wish list of like everything I wanted my boyfriend to have. And I would like date people that had everything. And then I would just be like, I do not like kissing you. I just don't like it. Like, if I had a brother, pretty sure this is what it would feel like. And in my head, I was like, must just be bad at kissing. Like, in my brain, I was always, so because I lost out on like 26 years. I think the way I celebrate Pride is just by like being very out and open. And I have a large following online because of my books. I try to make sure everybody knows I am a safe place, that like I will try and make you feel seen in my books, but I will also, I will try and make you feel seen in my stories. I will try and make you feel seen in my posts. I will try and make sure you understand that like this is what success can look like. Like I am one of the most successful fantasy authors out there. Stop. Not female, not straight or gay, like stop. And that means that like, I didn't need to hear that it gets better because I wouldn't have believed you. But what I did need to see was like people doing what they love and succeeding without caveats, without saying she's really successful for a gay author. She's really successful considering. I'm like, no, let's take up space. And that's my job. Like now I get so excited to bring a show like First Kill out because I'm like, this is the privilege.
Yeah.
Like, this is the privilege is I get to help bring things into media, be they books, comics, TV, film, that are like, that's how I have pride.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, here, I'm going to help make the world gayer.
Well, to wrap things up, we always check in with everyone because we're always curious and everyone has different things. What are you getting down and nerdy with? What are you consuming in pop culture right now?
Everything. I'm like simultaneously just a little behind at all times because I try to read like 200 books a year and watch every TV show. So it's just, there's not enough hours in the day, right? I'm currently getting over Killing Eve, feeling a bit traumatized, not gonna lie. It's like, because that show was probably one of the first times when I saw myself in terms of like complexity and nuance and anti-heroes and stuff like that. And I had a feeling it was coming and I'm still mad about it. But I'm watching Better Call Saul. Why do I watch such straight things? I don't know what it is. Like I love, you know what it is? I love being able to consume a huge amount of something. I like go into like, if I find something that has 5 or 6 seasons, I'm like, that's my jam. Obviously watch Stranger Things, really loved it. Really loved Robin in it. Thought it was really exciting to like just see, again, casual queerness,
right? Super,
super important. I'm trying to think what else. I watched The Boys because I just love the bombastic ridiculousness of that show. Like that show, I've never seen people work so hard to blow people up. Like truly, I've just never seen that much gore ever in anything. But yeah, and I'm really excited for Umbrella Academy. Like I'm just like a big media nerd.
Same. That's why I do this and the Geeks Out podcast. So, so we know that First Kill is coming out this Friday. So people can start watching then. And
oh my God, I forgot one. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I forgot this. I feel like the gay flag just got ripped out of my hand. Speaking of flags, Our Flag Means Death, which just finally got renewed for its 2nd season. I was like, were you guys teasing and you were just waiting for Pride? Because that show, I was not sold on the first couple episodes. I was like, this is queer baiting. It's happening again. I've been here before. See my first 2 seasons of Killing Eve. And then it like became canonical halfway through. And I was like, best thing ever. Like, so Our Flag Means Death, probably. Like, I think I'm just in denial because I have to wait so long probably for season 2.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah. My husband was the same.
I'm just gonna watch it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So First Kill comes out this Friday. People can start binging then and re-binging. But where can people find you in general?
I live on Instagram. I gave up Twitter like 3 years ago, and it honestly was like the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like, I was just like, bye, and I've never looked back. And it's an H in my name too. It's like
of course I messed that up.
You're good. You're good. But you can find me on there. It's where I live. I have 2 kittens named Chauncey and Thomas. It's totally fine if you follow me just to follow them. A lot of people do. I'm cool with it.
And then also people can find out more about your work by going to your website.
Yes.
That's www.victoriaschwab.com. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. FlameCon is August 20th and 21st. We hope people will join us then, and we hope to see VE there in the future sometime. So
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy Pride.
Thank you too.
And right, until next Flamecast, we're out.